Welcome viewers to Northeast 8 Weekly News Roundup. The Mapur Naga Students Union DNSU has urged the district administration to take swift and decisive action against Nirmal Jain, accused of being a habitual offender with a history of criminal activities including the Benami system and fuel adulteration. DNSU President Hinoto P. Avami and General Secretary Michael Cott expressed concern over the prolonged inaction and lack of transparency in investigating Jain's alleged crimes. The union served a 15-day ultimatum demanding justifiable punishment, warning of its own action if justice is delayed. It reiterated its earlier detailed complaints seeking a probe into Jain's continuous evasion of justice despite a non-criminal record. The NSU accused Jain of acquiring indigenous certificates and properties through fraudulent means, calling it a threat to the identity of Nagaland's indigenous people. The union demanded immediate cancellation of its fraudulently obtained documents, stating any further delay would deepen public anger. It warned that attempts to cool down the issue would trigger public unrest and described this case as potentially one of the Mapur's darkest chapters. The NSU also condemned Jain's recurring pattern of absconding, vowing not to let him go unpunished this time. The Rising People's Party (RPP) criticized the recent visit of A.K. Mishra, the Government of India's representative for Naga talks, saying it has managed to excite no one, citing repeated unfruitful meetings with Naga political groups and PGs. RPP urged Mishra to stop visiting Nagaland as he has nothing to offer except to raise false hope. The party said his visits mislead people into thinking progress is being made, while neither he or the centre appears serious about resolving the Naga issue. Calling the visit a waste of taxpayers' money and a burden on the state's limited resources, RPP noted that the entire state machinery is mobilized for him each time. It claimed Mishra is merely continuing what his predecessors did, keeping factions engaged without resolution. RPP also mocked the so-called Common Execution Plan to integrate the framework agreement and agreed position, saying it excited factions but left the public amused. Blaming former interlocutor Arun Ravi for discarding the framework agreement and introducing the agreed position for Nagas of Nagaland, RPP said it created internal divisions. It described Ravi's 2019 declaration that peace talks were over as a masterstroke that split Naga society, concluding that civil society organizations, factions, and intellectuals have fought over framework agreement and agreed position like cakes. RPP said Mishra's new proposal reflects the art of doing something and nothing at the same time, and predicted he will remain seemingly busy until being replaced. More than 80 Kuki region workers from both civil and military wings, led by senior GPRN and ASEAN leader C. Sing Song Kuki, met with Ato Kilonser and Working Committee NNPG's convener and Kitovi Zimomi and Vice President Chen Yim Konyak at the Oking. In a statement, the GPRN and ASEAN said the delegation reaffirmed their support to the leadership of President Major Retired R.M. Lota and Kitovi. They expressed that the Kukis of Nagaland would heartily welcome an honorable and acceptable political solution between the centre and the Nagas, and pledged to remain an integral part of the Naga political and social framework while continuing to defend and protect Nagaland. During the meeting, the inseparable bond between the Kukis of Nagaland and the Naga political movement was reiterated, tracing their contributions back to 1929, well before many others had joined the movement. The GPRN and ASEAN said this historical fact could not be erased. Kuki national workers were encouraged to uphold the legacy of their pioneers and disregard what was termed as misleading narratives by lead and trance trying to distort Naga history and identity. The statement also highlighted Lengjang Kuki, the only Kuki signatory to the January 10, 1929 memorandum to the British Statutory Commission, as a beacon for indigenous cookies in Nagaland. In a move to protect the rights of underprivileged children, the state government has called for identifying and enrolling children engaged in begging into government schools. And an advisory principal director school education Shashank Pradap Singh called upon the members of the NGOs, municipal, town, village council, churches, student unions and the general public to report details of such children to the Child Helpline 1098, enabling their enrollment in the nearest government schools. The Department of School Education has specifically sought to identify one out of school children aged 6 to 14 who are not enrolled or have dropped out of school before completing elementary education, including those found begging, and 2 children aged 3 to 6 years whose parents are engaged in begging and are not enrolled in preschool, Anganwati or Balvatika centers. All district education officers, DEOs, subdivisional educational officer, SDEOs and senior SDEOs have been instructed to coordinate with the concerned district child protection units and child welfare committees to facilitate the admission of such children as per the provisions of the Right to Education Act 2009. It may be recalled that the National Human Rights Commission NHRC advisory called for the protection and rehabilitation of impoverished, uneducated children, women and differently able individuals engaged in begging. The Supreme Court on Thursday ruled that a tribal woman or her legal heirs are entitled to an equal share in ancestral property. A bench of Justices Sanjay Karol and Joy Malia Bagchi stated that denying a woman her rightful shares exacerbates gender discrimination and violates principles of justice, equity and good conscience. The case involved the legal heirs of a tribal woman seeking partition of property belonging to their maternal grandfather. Lower courts dismissed the case citing a lack of custom supporting inheritance through a woman. However, the apex court emphasized that customs cannot override constitutional principles when they are silent or discriminatory. Though the Hindu Succession Act excludes scheduled tribes unless notified by the center, the court found the denial violated Article 14 equality before law and Article 15 non-discrimination of the Constitution. It said no valid reason existed to deny women succession rights when there is no legal bar. The court concluded that the women's legal heirs are entitled to the share in the property, affirming their rights under constitutional protections against gender-based discrimination.